I honestly don't even know where to begin with this. The fact that people have resorted to this level of depravity is honestly shocking. What kind of world do we live in where someone thinks it's perfectly fine to degrade themselves to this extent? 1,000 men in 12 hours? That's not just a problem. It's a clear sign of how lost some individuals are in their search for validation. I don't need to spell out what this says about human dignity. It's as if these people have completely forgotten what respect for oneself looks like. Every second spent doing this is a second wasted, stripping away any shred of humanity. And the worst part? The fact that this is all being turned into some kind of bizarre competition. Is this what we've come to as a society? A challenge of who can degrade themselves the most, the fastest? The sad reality is that this isn't just about the person performing these acts. It's about the twisted culture that encourages it. There's an entire industry built on exploiting people's vulnerabilities, promoting this toxic idea that being objectified is somehow empowering. It's not empowerment, it's dehumanization. It's the complete opposite of self-worth. No amount of training or preparation can make this okay. The very concept of training to perform such acts is absurd and only highlights the magnitude of the problem. Let's talk about the men who are willingly lining up for this. Who are these people? What kind of person stands in line for 12 hours to participate in something that reduces both themselves and the other person to an empty shell? These men aren't clients or customers. They're the enablers, feeding into the cycle of exploitation. They willingly contribute to the destruction of dignity and self-respect. If you're participating in this, you're no better than the one exploiting the situation. What does it say about you that you think it's okay to treat another human being like this, to reduce them to a number? You can't claim respect for women while simultaneously taking part in an event that strips them of any semblance of dignity. But it doesn't stop there, does it? The whole process is turned into a grotesque, inhuman performance. 1 minute and 24 seconds per person? That's not intimacy. That's not connection. That's not even human. That's an assembly line of degradation. It's as if we're treating people like machines, performing their function for a fleeting moment before they're discarded for the next. There's no emotional depth, no respect, no value in what's happening here. Just numbers, just statistics, just a twisted game of who can outdo the other. And what do we get at the end of it? A hollow sense of satisfaction for what? How can anyone be proud of this? How can you look at yourself in the mirror and not feel disgusted with what you've allowed to happen? And don't even get me started on the so-called training. Seriously? Training to perform like this? This isn't some sport. It's not some achievement. This is the erosion of your own identity. When did we start normalizing this kind of behavior? Why are we calling it training when it's really just the systematic breaking down of your own worth? There's no championship here. There's no record to be proud of. This is just a sad, pathetic attempt to fill a void with something that can never truly satisfy. And the fact that this is being celebrated by some, that there's a crowd cheering for it, is a direct reflection of how twisted things have become. The people who cheer for this, the ones who look at it as a challenge or some form of entertainment, are just as complicit. How much lower can we go? How much further can we degrade ourselves before we realize the damage we've done? I can't understand how anyone could be proud of this. There is nothing impressive about reducing yourself to this level of humiliation. This is not some kind of freedom. This is the complete opposite. It's captivity in its most brutal form. And let's talk about the hosts, the people facilitating this event. What does it say about them that they are willing to orchestrate this? They're not just passive observers. They're active participants in the destruction of someone's dignity. They're profiting off the brokenness of others, perpetuating a cycle that's as unhealthy as it is vile. They are no different than the men involved. They are all part of the same ugly machine, all contributing to the normalization of this behavior. But what happens when the cameras stop rolling? What happens when the crowd disperses and the lights go down? How do you live with yourself knowing you've played a part in reducing human beings to mere tools for your own gain? This isn't just an isolated incident. It's a symptom of a much larger problem in our society: the objectification and commodification of human beings. People are no longer seen as individuals with worth and dignity, but as products, as objects to be used and discarded. And we, as a society,